Vincennes Park System is moving forward with a new addition, a bicycle playground planned for Chicago Park. Fundraising began earlier this year. Construction now set to begin. The idea all started with Jordan Daniels, who joins us now to explain how the project came together. Thank you, Jordan, for being here with us on First City Focus. So let's start with the basics. What is a bicycle playground?
Well, thanks for having me. A bicycle playground, that's been one of the tougher things to explain. There was, back in the late 70s, early 80s, an old BMX racing track in the same location that we're going to be putting in. So that might be one of the bigger confusions we've got. So when it's talking bicycle playground, I would tell people think, bikes, but think more, exploring skills, things like that. So it's on about 1.5 acres, 2 acres there at Chicago Park. It's going to be a dirt path kind of around the exterior there. It's going to have a few obstacles, some tunnels, some features, things like that. And then in the middle of it, there's a triangle type structure called a pump track. So for that, just think maybe skate park, but for little bicycles. That's about a 60 by 60 structure there. Riders of all ages, any type of bike, can use the thing, but it's kind of used for kids that are on balance bikes or learning to ride, for them to gain some skill and kind of get creative with how they want to ride their bike. Everything all kind of started, my wife and I, we go down to Bentonville, Arkansas between Christmas and New Year, and we went down there, and her cousins live down there, and they took us to, they have a bicycle playground down there, and we went, and my kids loved it. They had the absolute best time, and I just kind of was thinking, why don't we put one of these here? And so I think I called JR Field from the parking lot, actually, or sent him some pictures and called him and said, hey, if we can get some money together, can we do this? And so he said, sure, and so we got our proper approvals and everything, and so the idea came, just this past December, but we'll be finished hopefully, sometime hopefully early July here. But the idea just is, something to get kids outside, keep them active, and let them kind of learn to grow and explore on their bikes. So just an idea that we had that we figured why not try to figure out and do it? So it's come along nicely, and so here we are at this point here where we're starting to really start the build.
All right, and to explain, J.R. Fields is the Parks Director.
Yes,
here
sorry.
In town. And so when you approached the Parks Department, they just kind of let you run with it, didn't they?
For the most part, yeah. I went in totally unprepared, to be honest, kind of pitched the idea, and I had already talked to JR, sent him some pictures and stuff like that, and we had already secured a decent bit of funding, and so that wasn't quite an issue, and so it was kind of, pretty quickly a yes, and then from there it was just, get to work time, and so we got to work on planning, and then from there, we had to go and get a few more donations, but we've gotten, most of what we need per se, and so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, I know when you and I first talked about it a couple months ago, you were just shy of what you really needed. Yeah. And we got the word out that you needed it, and it came pretty quick, didn't it?
Yes, it did. We've had a lot of people involved. The Knox County Community Foundation was huge for us. Good Samaritan, the Good Samaritan Hospital Foundation. I have a laundry list of people and organizations that I'm going to and will thank, but for the sake of time, we'll keep that in our back pocket. But just so many people, and that's probably one of the coolest parts about it is, just how many people are involved, because it's like there's this foundation or this organization, but there's so many people involved in that, and so there's been I've made a list, actually. It's growing and growing and growing. Just a ton of people from the community helping. I'm kind of here being the mouth and the face for everything, but there's just so many people involved, and so those organizations were huge, for getting us over the hump to get the pump track ordered. We still have some things that we might need as far as funding goes, but we're still attempting to work on that stuff. But we're at a pretty good spot right now.
So explain a little bit more what a pump track is. How's that work?
Yeah, so our pump track here, it's going to be a triangle shape. And so it will have a couple bumps or mounds, you could say, but what you're supposed to use those for is to kind of gain speed. So you're not really doing a ton of pedaling. But you go over, I think each straightaway has 3 kind of small hills to it. And then when you get to each corner, there's kind of a big bank turn, and you turn. So our unit's going to be a metal frame with a polyurethane exterior. It's a modular unit, which will be actually nice for repairs and such if we were, to need anything. But I kind of have told people, if you're not sure, just Google it, and as soon as you see it, you'll kind of get a decent idea. But like I said, skate park, but for small bikes would be a really good thing to kind of visualize. But it's kind of like I said, a triangle structure. The square footage of it is around 58 foot by 58 foot, so it's a relatively big thing. But the whole park in general, is going over about an acre and a half. But the pump track, like I said, it's just kind of a little bit more to advance the skills, because you're balancing, but you're also working on speed, and then the banking and the turns, you've got to lean with the bike and some things like that. But last year, when we were on it, my boys were 3 and 2 on their little balance bikes, and they handled it, pretty nicely. So it's kind of there to build. But honestly, I've seen, full-size adults, using it. You can really get some speed going, and it's quite fun, actually. I kind of want to try it myself, but it's designed for smaller people, but can be used by anybody.
So are there competitions for this organized, or?
No, it's not really going to be set up for competitions. Think playground. It will be something that's a little bit tough to picture until people see it, because I have never seen anything like it at all. So it is a little tough to visualize, but you can also go online too and look at the park in Bentonville, because we're pulling a lot of ideas straight from it. So it's going to look very similar to what you would see on some things like that. But yeah, that's probably the biggest misconception, is everybody's kind of thinking, BMX racing and things like that, because that's, I believe, what was out there. I wasn't born yet, but I believe that's what was out there in the 70s and 80s. But it's going to be a little different than that. I've seen a few pictures from back in the 70s, 80s. Ty Blythe and I saw Doug Holloway the other day. They were out, racing on it, and so it's kind of cool to see it come back. It's just going to look a little bit different, a little bit more adventure and play than racing. So,
okay. And so, where are you at construction-wise right now?
So let's see. Last week we have mapped out the track. We killed the dirt to prepare to create the dirt path. And then we killed the grass in the 60 by 60 squares, so that the excavation crew can come out. I believe it's later this week, and they're going to start leveling some things out for the pump track there. They just wanted to have all that nice and dry, a little bit easier to move. And then once we get that leveled out, we're going to start moving a little bit more dirt around, to just have everything as ready as we can for the pump track, because it will come in on a truck and trailer, and then we'll take it off and install it in that same day. Once it's level on the surface, then we'll put a crushed aggregate down. The pump track will go over it, and then we'll kind of take some of the dirt and bring it up around the edges just to protect the structure just a little bit. But so far where we're at is we've got everything. If you go out there and you squint real hard, you can kind of see my vision. But it's here probably, in the next 2 weeks, it's really going to start to take some shape, and we'll start to add some of the other character designs and some of the obstacles, things like that. I'm blanking on the gentleman's name, but I believe it's Midwest Fab. He's building a kind of a bank turn ramp type thing for us. Got a few people, I think Knox County Tire, Lark Ranch, maybe donating some tires that we're going to make some tunnels out of. Jones & Sons is helping us locate some stuff, and then Shank Sod Farms, I believe, is going to help us with some stuff, that are not maybe monetary, but actually just getting the groundwork done. So they've been huge too. Those things aren't in form of a check, but are really, really big. But as far as where we're at, we're step one, step two kind of is what I would call it. But the next couple weeks, there's going to be a lot of changes. So I encourage people to drive by, because like I said, if you squint real hard enough right now, you can kind of see my vision. But it's going to be moving along, fairly quick here through the month of May. So.
Yeah, and as we talk here, we're in late April, so
yep.
Give people a time frame of where we're at. But so you said the BMX track was there, so that's why Chicago Park was basically chosen?
Part of, that, and I can't speak for the Parks Board, but two, it was a perfect space for it. You know, it was size-wise was great. It was relatively flat. And you know, there's been a lot of work going into Chicago Park. I know they did a lot of work on there's a pickleball courts out there. The baseball field got a lot of work and some things like that. And so it's going to kind of add to what they've already been doing, but the space was just, you know, perfect for it. And then you take the historical context, and so it just, all the stars aligned on it, which is kind of how everything on the project has gone so far.
Yeah. So I know you've been out there, so obviously people's probably been asking, what are you doing?
Yeah, a lot of people have actually stopped me. My dad and I were out there, you know, last week working on it, and some people pulled up on a golf cart and stopped us and asked, and they've had a handful of kids riding their bikes by, coincidentally enough, asking me, you know, what was going on, and then it was like, well, wait, it's a bike park, and can we use it? Yeah, of course. You know, so everybody so far has been really excited about it. I have had some people kind of trying to figure out, well, what are you doing out here? And it's, you know, equally confusing when it's like, well, aren't you? I thought you were a chiropractor. Why are you building this park thing? And so we're doing a little double duty right now. But yeah, everybody's kind of intrigued and excited about it, and so that's really, really good.
All right. And so how do you feel? I mean, you saw this and you had this vision, and it's coming about. So what's that mean to you?
Oh my gosh. You know, there's been everything from excitement to a little bit of, you know, emotional. I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect it to have quite the legs that it's gotten. I thought it was something cool, and it was like, yeah, let's, you know, make it happen. But the, you know, amount of people that have been involved and helped, and the excitement that people have for it. I mean, I have heard so many people that have no idea who I am. You know, hey, are you the bike park guy? Which is taking a little bit of adjusting, but you know, it's even, you know, times where I've had to kind of take a pause and be like, wow, this is really big, because there's just so much in so much of the community, and it speaks a lot of volumes to the people in the community. But it's just been really exciting to kind of see it come, you know, to fruition. I didn't quite expect it, like I said, to be, you know, where it is right now, but that's okay. It's been a really pleasant surprise, and so we've just been kind of tackling everything as it comes our way, and it's been going really well. Everything's been going really awesome. It's been a fun project.
So great. So can people still give, or people help out?
Yeah, absolutely. So where I've kind of, you know, would put us right now is bare minimum. We've kind of got the financials covered. There's definitely some things that we're still looking at, as far as some seating, some shading. If we could get there, we'd love to put a nice little band shelter type thing, you know, between the pickleball courts and the pump track that are out there. You know, that's something on JR's mind, I think, too. I don't know if it'll quite happen with this project. If we get there, we'd love to. But right now we have, you know, the bank turn, and then the excavation cost, and the people that are doing that for us are doing a huge favor helping us out. But still a little bit of cost involved. And then, like I said, seating and shading and just some accessories type stuff. You know, and honestly, even if somebody, you know, has something like trees or plants or flowers, or, you know, something like what Shank Sod Farm's doing for us with the grass, you know, anything to give it some character too, you know, that would be awesome. But anyway, donation, you know, money-wise, sure, there's plenty of things that we could use out there to keep improving the thing. And so we're bare minimum, but we still could use some for sure.
So again, July, people
yeah,
will be riding, right?
I don't quote me 100% on this one, because there's been some things that have changed here and there with trying to get something this big done, but I believe that first week of July is about what they were shooting as far as the delivery on the pump track, and our goal is to try to get as much done before that comes, so as soon as it gets off the truck and installed, we're pretty well done, you know, just some, you know, finishing touches type thing. So we should be looking around that first week of July, you know, maybe mid-July at the latest, hopefully.
All right. Jordan Daniels with the bicycle playground at Chicago Park, bike park guy. I'm going to start calling you that now. So bike park guy.
It's catching on.
All right. So watch and listen for updates on the opening of that playground here on our TV and radio stations and websites. And again, if you want to help out or need more information, you can contact Jordan or contact the Parks Department.